Oh no, Gilbert, buddy, one of the few NPCs that actually liked us. Well, when I first actually spawned here, I didn't know what was going on. Actually, I was like, what the hell? Why is there like an old Yarnum zombie, and a bigger version of the old? They look bigger. I don't know if they actually are, but they're definitely kind of the same version of it. Why was he here? And then he drops a special rune. I'm like, oh, he's someone special. And then, like, literally 2 seconds, you realize who he is. It's Gilbert from the window. I guess he finally turned. The claw mark is an impulse to seek the warmth of blood like a beast. It strengthens visceral attacks, one of the darker hunter techniques. Although the difference is subtle, Runesmith Carroll describes the beast as a horrific and unwelcome instinct deep within the hearts of men, while claw mark is an alluring invitation to accept this very nature. Just an interesting rune. Talks about the impulse to seek warmth of blood like a beast. Taking a knee for poor Gilbert. That Carol describes beast and clawmark a little bit separate, even though they're very similar. The beast is more of the horrific and unwelcome instinct deep within the hearts of men, while clawmark is more of the invitation to accept that nature. Just like a very subtle difference, I guess, to it. Visceral attacks, they say, is a darker technique, and I think that's because your hand actually turns very wolf-ish, very beast-like, I should say, not necessarily wolfish, but beast-like. And if you really watch the hands on a visceral attack, you can see that. You can see it happen. So I think that's why it's considered a darker technique, because you're really letting loose your beast. And I think hunters don't want to. I thought that just looked cool. That's why I did that. I was just like, man, that moon looks awesome. The sky looks awesome. It just looks really good. I love the way Yarnum changes as we go through it. So yeah, it's just the beast is the darker side of being a hunter. And I think Henrik kind of is an example of that your long-lived life as a hunter is not necessarily going to be good, because the longer you live, the more chances you have to turn into a beast, the more likely you're going to. So that's kind of, a little thing about it. But poor Gilbert. Man, Gilbert and the little girl died. Sad day. But I was looking at the moon, and I'm looking at this casket right now because I'm trying to get an idea of, like, what is this place, In the instruction manual, it says Yarnum is an old, lost, forgotten city in the eastern part of the world. And it's just, it says it's old, lost, forgotten city, I believe is like what it describes it as. And if you look at the moon, it changes throughout the game, but it doesn't change in every area. In fact, there are very distinct areas where it doesn't. One of them, well, in Yarnum and in, I think, Bergenworth, it changes or it stays the way it does. So I think but in Hemwick and Charnel Lane, Hemwick, Charnel Lane, and in Old Yarnum, the moon doesn't change. It actually stays very, very much just a pale moon, very just like a regular moon look. And then Hunter's Dream, the moon is like completely different than the moon anywhere I believe else in the game. It's completely different looking, and it's very creepy. If you look at it, it's a very creepy moon in Hunter's Dream. I was staring at it. I was staring at it for hours the other night. I stared at it for like a minute or two the other day in Hunter's Dream, and I was looking at it, and I'm just like, man, this thing is just creepy. It has the feeling that it's following you, or it's looking at you, like kind of like the eyes on paintings sometimes, how they follow you around the room. It just has that feeling to it, very just this ominous presence about you, and it's just like staring at you, and it's just very weird. If you look at it closely, I pulled out my monocular to look at it. If you look at the left side of it, it kind of has like a broken appearance to it, like it's almost painted, and then the right side of it is perfectly smooth. And I don't think that was done on accident. I think they're trying to show that thing is like something and not necessarily a moon. It's something else, and it's just watching you. It's very creepy. I don't know what it is, but it just gives me that feeling. And like I said, the moon changes in different areas, and I think that's really a sign that you're either in a dream that's constantly you're walking into different parts of one dream, or you're walking into different planes of I don't want to say planes of existence, but different planes or different worlds almost, or different dreams altogether. It just gives you that feeling. So here we go. False Iosefka didn't stop us from coming in this time, so I'm walking in. Iosefka, what's going on? I got you all bent over. I guess the second, I like how I'm calling like fake women hot, but the second good modeled woman character in this game would be her. I guess she could be first if you visit her at a different time. Ariana would be the other one, I believe. And you don't really know what Vicar looks like. I'm like, yes, booty, finally. Oh, this hunter. This hunter's life. It's a rough one. So I look at her. I'm just trying to figure out what she's doing. She looks like she's in pain, is what I was trying to figure out. I didn't know if she was like morphing or what was going on. But from the look of it, it looks like she's just in some pain. I don't know why they have her in this position. Why didn't they like lay her on her back? I don't I don't know what the design decision was to have her like this, but whatever. So I'm going to talk to her.
God, I'm nauseous. Have you felt this? It's progressing. I can see things. I knew it. I'm different. I'm no beast. Oh, God, it feels awful. But it proves that I'm chosen. Don't you see how they writhe inside my head? It's rather rapturous.
And she's crazy. So great. So let's go over her line. She says, God, I'm nauseous. Have you felt this? Why would she ask us if we felt this? Like, I think that's such a weird question to ask us. Especially a little later, you kind of figure out what's going on a little bit. And why would she ask me that? It's just a very weird question. So I don't know if it's just like something like they just gave her a line to say, or is it like she's really asking us, have you felt this? And is there a reason why we should have? This looks wrong, but I have a reason for this, guys. I wanted to see if you could look into her head, because she says something's writhing around in her head. So I was like, I wonder if like they may have put like an Easter egg or something in here just to check it out. And I get kind of a good look in there, and there's nothing in there. I'll tell you that right now. I don't don't think I find something. But wouldn't it be weird if like eyeballs were staring back or something? I'd be like, oh, I knew it. But and then she says it's progressing. I can see things. What kind of things, right? So if you kill her, which is really your only choice at this point, because she's also evil. Remember, she kind of destroyed this clinic and everything. You get another 1/3 of umbilical cord. 1/3 of umbilical cord. So let's check that out. And then I take a knee for her, even though I really shouldn't have. But I was like, might as well. And then we'll kind of talk about, so you get this 1/3 umbilical cord. I'm just waiting for it to pop up so I can read you. Now it has a different description than the other one, so don't think it has the same one. Plus, it doesn't have that last description the other one has, where it says used to gain insight. It's like inside it's like eyes on the inside or whatever. It doesn't have that on this one. So it says Provost Willem sought the cord in order to elevate his being and thoughts to those of a great one by lining his brain with eyes, the only choice he knew if man were to ever match their greatness. Their greatness is capitalized. There is capitalized. So, and there I think he's talking about the great ones, obviously. He thinks lining his eyeballs. This is a very interesting statement, and we're going to talk about this in conjunction with what Iosefka said just now, and that's kind of the end of this side quest, basically, or side item that you can get. These things kind of look like they're going to be important for some reason or not. I don't know yet. I do know this because I effed up and I accidentally found out there's 3 endings to this game. Now I don't know what they are or what happens in them, but I do know in one of them you have to use an item, and I don't know what that item is, but I can almost guess that it's probably these umbilical cords, because I know that I don't know what item it is, but I know you have to use a certain amount of them. And I don't know that amount. I just know that much information. It's very weird, and I blame my friends for telling me these stupid things. They like slip it out on accident. They when like your friends are being jerks, and like you're like, don't tell me anything, and they're like, oh, I won't tell you that, and then they say it, and you're just like, God, you're a dick. So it's all right because I do it to them too. So it's not like a one-sided thing. I get back at them with stuff too. So. She asks you if you felt this. I'm like, why would I feel this? And it says it's progressing. I can see things. So it makes me wonder what kind of things are you seeing? Different dreams? Or are you just seeing different planes? What do you mean you can see things? Are you just crazy? Like what do you mean by that? And then I knew it. I'm different. I'm no beast. And then she was ... So she's saying that that kind of alludes to like me thinking that there are beasts, right? There are people who just turn into beasts. But then there are people who are meant for more, and that kind of makes me wonder if I'm something like that, right? Am I meant for something more? Because it doesn't seem like I'm going to be turning into a beast, at least anytime soon. And I'm gaining insight, and as I gain insight, I'm getting further and further away from my beasthood. So do I have that ability to be different also? And she says, I knew it. I knew that I'm not like that. So she has some other motive, or she believes she's meant for something else. Then she goes, oh God, it feels awful, but it proves that I'm chosen. She's in pain and is not feeling good, but then she's also kind of relieved of that pain because she feels like she's a chosen one, or she's been chosen by, I'm guessing, a great one. And what she's chosen for, you can kind of think about it and guess at this point what it is. You're getting you killed her and you get an umbilical cord. You can guess that she was chosen by a great one to be the surrogate for the child, and that's kind of what you can just infer. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a great reason. That's a great answer to that, right? That's what's going on. It's not like she has a headache or anything. Pop her some Advil and she'll be fine. And then she says, but it proves that I'm chosen. So she's just talking about the great ones. Do you see how they writhe in my head? Writhe inside my head. So are they eyeballs? Are they slugs? What are we talking about? Because we did see in the Madman's knowledge that there's like a picture of a slug popping out, right? But that could just be a symbol for like the great one's knowledge, right? So it might not necessarily mean slugs are going to pop out, but it could be eyes, right? And when we read the description of the umbilical cord, it says that these eyes are going to line your head, or in your brain. So that could be what it is. Ariana looks like she's kind of in the same state, but she doesn't seem like she's as far, and she's just not feeling good. I was this close to killing her because I didn't know if she was going to drop a cord or not, but I think I'm going to save that and see, maybe coming back a little later. I may just look this up to figure out where we get the umbilical cords, but I'm pretty sure she's going to have another one, and I just don't want to miss it. So that might be why I look it up. Maybe not. I might just be like, you know what, Chris, you can skip it. But if it has to do with that other ending, I wouldn't mind having it just so I have that chance to get that ending. We'll see though. We'll see how it goes. I might still just play it blind, or as blind as I can with my dumb friends. But so yeah, and then she says it's rather rapturous. She's getting rapturous is like deep pleasure or joy. So all this pain and stuff, even she's getting that, it's like deep pleasure and joy from being the chosen one, or is it from the writhing of the eyes, or what's going on, right? And if she's the surrogate, does that mean as a surrogate? So a surrogate to me, I don't think it means that they're going to be born from them. I think it means that those are going to turn into the great ones, infant great ones, I should say. So she's being morphed into an infant great one. I don't necessarily think she's going to be birthing an infant great one like that. I don't know. I just don't think that's true because I don't know. I just have a feeling that's not what happens. I have more of a feeling that you're evolved into one, more or less likely. But then that brings me to another point: is that do they only pick women, or can men and women do it? That's why that first line was a little weird. Have you felt this? In other words, could a man possibly go through that same situation? For instance, could a Willem have gone through that same thing and had been created into Rom? Maybe not. I don't want to infer, but Willem does stick his head up again, and he sticks his head up in that item description where it says that he sought the cord in order to elevate his being and the thoughts of those of the Great One. He said that this was the only choice he knew. So when it says he knew, it makes me feel like that he was the only one that thought this, or he kept it to himself. That he was the only, that he thought this was the way he could elevate himself to being close to a Great One. He could elevate humans, because it does say that, let's see, it says, Proverbs William sought the cord in order to elevate his being and thoughts of those to those of the Great One by lining his brain with eyes. So the item description to me sounded like it was the only way humans would ever be like the Great One, but it doesn't seem like he wanted to use, he wanted to delve into the Great Ones to do this as much as he could. Like, he wanted to stay away from it. It just has this feeling that he wanted to be like the Great Ones, but without using any of the knowledge of the Great Ones. But at the same time, he needed this cord. So it's kind of a little bit weird, because remember, he says fear the old blood. That's the adage, right? Is to fear it. He doesn't like, I don't think, to me, it seems like Willem doesn't like to deal with like the old blood and the Great Ones as much as he can stay away. He just wants that knowledge that they have, and he just wants to elevate the human like race to that level, without using them to do it, kind of. But he still needs this cord, apparently. Now, the thing is he sought this cord. So, in other words, the only way to get this cord is to have an infant great one. And from right now, it looks like, well, in the old workshop, we had to kill one. Or we didn't have to do anything. It was sitting there. But on this case, we had a killer to get it. So does that mean you have to kill infant great ones to get this? If that's true, is that the whole purpose of hunters to begin with, right? Is that our job is to get these umbilical cords? Because if Willem knew this, and maybe Willem wasn't the only one that sought at these, he may have just been one of them. So here we see what happened to my quest line for Eileen, and I still don't know what made her hate me. She definitely hates me. She has a bunch of lines that she says throughout this fight. It's very she basically just says I've gone nuts, that I'm no longer a hunter of beasts, that I'm more becoming beast myself, and that we must all die. It says only a few hunters can risk the intoxication of the hunt. Look at you, just the same as all the rest. The hunters must die. The nightmare must end. Only I can stop this madness. The beasts cannot be stopped. What good are hunters now? Your blood is mine. A hunter's blood for me. You punishment is death. Death to hunters. Enough of this terrible dream. Ah, you monster. All hunters must die. So she is kind of gone off. They do this. FromSoft does this where these characters seem super normal at first, and then when they reach like their pinnacle or their like climax stage of their quest line, they go nuts, like crazy. So it seems like she's kind of gotten that way too. Like the whole time she's kind of seemed a little level-headed, a little bit of kind of like on the know-how of what was going on. But now she's kind of gone nuts, and she's just like saying, I'm no longer really a hunter anymore. I've turned more into a beast, and she just started attacking me once I went here. So you get the Crow Hunter badge from her, but if you do her quest line correctly, you'll get the Crow Hunter badge, and then you'll also get the Hunter of Hunters badge, which is one of the oaths you can get in this game, which is kind of like a covenant. This is badge of a Hunter of Hunters who hunts those who have become addled with blood. The badge of a Hunter of Hunters is quietly passed down from generation to generation, usually to an outsider from the hinterlands. To be entrusted with this cursed badge, one must be strong, resilient to the seduction of blood, and gracious when taking comrades' life. So they're the ones that hunt the hunters who are starting the turn, basically. But maybe at some point they were just hunting hunters at a certain point, maybe after stuff went bad down the drain. I thought a lot more about this skull right here. I think it's the skull of Lawrence is what I'm starting to think more and more of. If you remember the cutscene, you were looking at Willem, and it kind of looked like you were looking at him through eyes of someone else. And if you think about it, if this is the skull you touched to do that, then you were looking at maybe him through the eyes of Lawrence. But then at the end of the cutscene, you kind of get like a faraway view of him from above. So that kind of blows that kind of out of the way. But I just really think it's Lawrence's skull, which kind of means that maybe he separated again from the College of Bergenworth and wanted to start the healing church, some form of fashion. Now, he may not have wanted what it's doing today, but I was looking really close right there. You can see all this majestic stuff, and then right there you see little hunter or little messenger guys holding something up. And I don't know if this kind of maybe to me looks like a depiction of the hierarchy of the church. And you got the people down at the bottom, and then as you go up you got hunters in the middle, and then maybe a little bit of higher echelon there, and then the top person is that lady up there pouring stuff down. Maybe it's blood, who knows. It just kind of depicts that kind of hierarchical look to me. I head back to the Hunter's Dream. I don't know if I actually look at the moon here or not in this game, but to kind of run back to Willem, yeah, he keeps making a deeper rabbit hole as I keep like thinking about him, because I really want to know about him and Rom. Like, it's just weird. I go back and I look at the weapons from the badge that I got. Splits into two when activated. The weapon's warped blades are forged with siderite, a rare mineral of the heavens, most effective in swift attacks, such as after a quick stepping. And that really made me go, whoa, they're talking about something I've already seen. This is the Blade of Mercy. This is the weapon that Eileen uses. And it says it's one of the oldest weapons in the workshop. Very strange. And then we go look at, and we can get her armor too, which is actually cool because I buy her chest piece, which I think is awesome. This is a beak mask. This is the beak contains incense on masked scents of. The beak contains incense to mask scents of blood and beasts. Hunters of hunters dress as crows to success sky burial. The first hunter of hunters came from a foreign land and gave the dead a virtuous native funeral ritual, rather than impose a blasphemous Yarnum burial service upon them, with the hope that former compatriots might be returned to the skies and find rest in the hunter's dream. Huh. There's a lot of like information in that, and in the weapon too. and it's a crow feathered cape. If you've looked up Eileen, it actually doesn't have much of a definition for her name. One of the ones I did get was it's a beautiful bird. So because it comes from like like back when like an Irish descent or something like that for like avian, and it just keeps going back and back. And there were some things that said that it didn't have one, and then others. But I found one that says beautiful bird. But you know, that's taken with salt of grain. I don't want to recommend like going all the way with that, but it makes sense. She dresses as a bird. But sky burial is a thing, and I think that's a very interesting thing to talk about, because sky burial, basically, if you go find out what it is when people would just lay a body on like a hill or a mountain, or maybe on some kind of object, and they would just let them decompose naturally. And that could include the weather and the elements deteriorating them, or animals coming and pecking at them. Whatever it was, that's just what they considered the way to bury a person. And this wasn't like a negative thing or anything like that. It's just the way they did it. And that's what they consider sky burial. Now, if you did that a lot in a bunch of, like if you did a lot of bodies in one area, you would get something called a charnel, which we talked about already. And we talked about that with Hemwick Charnel Lane. So again, we kind of did a roundabout to what a charnel is. I don't know if they ever wanted to make that connection. Again, if it's too deep of a look into it, but it's just a very weird connection. When I saw that, I was like, okay, all right. So now we're back to charnels again. Now that makes you think of, what is the village of Hemwick? Is it one of the villages that is in this hinterlands? Because all hinterlands is outside, right? It means that it's an area outside. You could say, like I won't say like the wastelands, but like let's see. I have an example. I have an example of this somewhere. It means like backwater or uncharted areas beyond a certain point. Now, Hemwick didn't seem like it was too uncharted, but it could be considered kind of a backwater area. So, you know, maybe Hemwick is kind of one of the villages these hunters of hunters come from. And that's where they started sky burials. Now, after stuff got crazy out of control, they just kept doing that. And it also looks like an area where they wanted to scoop eyeballs out. Again, I haven't made too much of a connection between that, but you know, it's just something to think about, something to look at, what a sky burial is and kind of what it led to and things like that. And it is mentioned in the item description. But what is a blasphemous Yharnam burial service, right? It says that it's blasphemous. Well, so far we've seen in Yharnam that most people look like they're put into caskets. Some of them seem to be locked up with chains, but it looks like they kind of do a normal burial service, right? Something like even we're used to seeing, where they put them in the ground. Why is that blasphemous to them? You know, it's hard to say, but it definitely just seems like that they didn't like that's not what they wanted. They thought it was better that they would do that, and it said because they wanted them to return to the Hunter's Dream. You know, as I look at this monster, this whole unseen village, we're going to get into that in a second. So, but the other thing was the Blade of Mercy, where it said that the first of all, it says that it's made out of something called siderite, which is something from the heavens, which we've already saw that there's a thing called a tonsil stone, or the Godhead, that is also they said that it's supposed to be a meteorite. So could those two things be made of the same thing? That's possible. So does that mean that the Blade of Mercy is made from materials sent by the Great Ones? You know, or that's where I'm thinking the meteorite came from. Could be from the sky. Who knows? It could be actual meteorite that fell from the skies. But are those two things related? Are they the same material? I don't know. I think that's a good connection you can make. You know, it doesn't really change anything or do anything, but it is kind of a good idea to keep that in mind. Also, one of the craziest things in that description was the weapon's warp blades are forged by this thing, and it's really used for swift attacks, such as after a quick stepping. Now, to me, there was one thing that immediately made me think of. It made me think of the old hunter's bone, where it said that when you use it, you learn an ability called quickening, which, if you look up what quickening does, is it gives you the ability to quick step. So is this weapon, and remember this weapon says it's an old weapon used. Is this weapon the weapon used first by the apprentice of Gurmon? Was this the first time it was ever done? Does that mean Gurmon himself is a killer of hunters? Was he making these apprentices for that reason? Is that what his whole idea is and what he's trying to do? There's a connection there, and the whole thing with Gurmon, the doll, the moon right now in his little dream, the dream world, where he gets the umbilical cord, all that stuff combined. And now apparently the Hunters of Hunters, all that right now is just a big mess in my mind. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly went on and why he's doing what he's doing, or what exactly is happening with that. And kind of your hunter yourself, like, what's the point? I get stuck right here and I die so quickly. Again, stuck on the environment. Great way. Good job, Chris. Yeah, and then the whole time Eileen is just telling you that the nightmare must end, that hunters must die. So if hunters die, the nightmare ends. So is that the way it works? But it seems like as you die every time, you get to come back. So she may not understand that necessarily when you die, it's not the end. That something else needs to go. Something else must happen first before this night's over. She says, your blood is mine. Hunter's blood for me. It's kind of creepy. And my punishment is death. She just says a bunch of stuff where just like, you die, you need to die. Now, FromSoft and their love for enemies that like to resurrect enemies is amazing. It is amazing. They love that enemy. And I know why they love it, because it makes the game incredibly hard when you have to go find the enemy that's resurrecting everyone. And you can't just keep killing people and making your way slowly through the level. You actually got to go fast. So if you ever played any of the other Dark Souls games, my tip in this area is to find that person first and kill them. Like, even if it means you have to run through 50 of them. Because as you notice, once you killed her, and it's those Chime Bell Maidens, the same ones you find in the Chalice Dungeon. Once you kill her, the other ones kind of stop and they kind of like get dizzy for a little bit, and then you can go up to them and just kill them really quick. That's kind of the tactic I have. So just know every so often in this level you're going to have to do that. I just thought that lamp is just a very weird lamp. Very awkward lamp. We got ourselves the Mensis ritual must be stopped, lest we all become beasts. So direct correlation between that ritual, and if that ritual happens, everyone's going to become beasts, basically. Nothing's going to stop us from turning into what we're supposed to be inherently on the inside. Just a reminder, if that ritual happens, or whatever they're trying to do here happens, then we're all going to be screwed. So we got a lot of questions thrown at us already, just at the very start of this. You got the stuff with Iosefka and Willem. His ideas, again, are very weird. He wanted that cord so he can line his brain with eyeballs. Awkward. I guess one of the key things here is that he was looking for a cord. Did he ever find one? I'm not 100%. Maybe he did. Maybe that's the one that we find at the Hunter's Dream. Maybe Grimon was supposed to find him one, and he ended up using it for himself. I don't know. Like, yeah, that's just all, like, total speculation. Like, I'm just trying to go through, like, different scenarios in my head, right? And then once I go through that scenario, I go, do I have anything to really back up that stuff? If not, then that doesn't necessarily mean it's not right. It just means I haven't even got to it yet, or it's just a big spot in the game where, you know, you're allowed to kind of come up with your own conclusions. There are going to be spots like that in this game. It's not going to, I don't think there's going to be a clear 100% definition of exactly what's going on. I think we're going to have moments where there's just going to be a black spot in either the history or time or something like that, and you got to kind of fill it in based on maybe some stuff, but, you know, it's just going to be pure just, you know, what I can say is just pure BS out of everyone's mouth about what happened, and, you know, it all could be pretty right as long as it makes sense. You know, as long as you're not like a banana fell from the sky and it slaughtered everybody. You're just like, what? No, I don't think that happened. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. But, you know, you can come up with your own stuff. Ariana's getting sick, so she's hurting. Let's talk about Rom and the pregnant people. Or I'm calling them pregnant pregos right now. But, you know, like I said, it could happen to guys too. It doesn't necessarily say it doesn't. It just seems so far in this game, we've had two people that seem to be hurting after we kill Rom. And I'm guessing both of them are going to have umbilical cords. So I'm guessing they can only be women. But that doesn't necessarily mean, just the absence of evidence doesn't mean the evidence of absence, right? Or whatever that saying is. In other words, just because it doesn't happen doesn't mean that it's true, that it's because of that reason. So, but we can infer a little bit and think that's the way. But what I'm trying to get with Rom is, before Rom, Iosefka was fine, Ariana was fine. After I killed Rom, they're now hurting, right? They both became, quote-unquote, I want to say pregnant, but they both became inhabited, I guess, or became infected, or whatever you want to say. And they both weren't feeling good. The minute we killed Rom, like, Rom set off those events. Again, remember, Rom's purpose was to stop rituals and things like that Apparently he was stopping rituals, and that's what the two messages were saying. One seemed to be a little bit mad about it, and it was the church message, the one from the church, that seemed to be mad about it. Bergenworth seemed like they were more proud of the fact that he was stopping it. So it's really bringing home that point that I really think the College of Bergenworth and the Healing Church, even though the Healing Church is using the stuff Bergenworth found, they're using it for a different reason. And I don't think Bergenworth necessarily originally intended it to be used that way. It seems like the Healing Church wants to rely more on the Great Ones, while it seems like Bergenworth wanted to more or less, maybe not rely on them, but learn from them and become them instead of rely on them. And it's like, and Healing Church is really looking like they're becoming more of their puppets than anything else. So it's kind of, and it seems that way. And then it seems like Rom's main purpose was to stop whatever they were doing, or halt it, or keep it from progressing. But it doesn't look like it's gonna fix it, right? It seems like it's still a problem, but it's not fixed. And really the biggest like thing here that I don't want to say I don't understand, basically, is, well, if Willem created, let's say Willem or Bergenworth created Rom, and for the reason to stop this madness from happening, then why does he want you to kill Rom? You know, he's the one that points it out up on the bridge. Is it because he thinks you're worthy enough to kill it, and that you're going to be able to stop this whole mess? Or is it because he believes that Rom's going to kill you? Or maybe, if you think about it, either way will work out for him. So if you can kill Rom, then he's like, this guy's going to be able to do it. But if he dies, then no hurt, no foul, and the next person in line will come up or whatever, and the cycle will continue until someone's able to do it. I'm not sure. That's the part that I'm like confused about. And, you know, necessarily trying to think of ways that Rom not necessarily be made from Bergenworth. Maybe he's made for another reason. Could also be out there. If you look at the achievement, real quick before that, Teeny Tenotris, I don't know how to say that. This is a similar Morning Star mace that utilizes Quicksilver bullets when struck into the ground. It recreates the blue sparks that are said to surround the Dark Beast, like Archibald's masterpiece. This too, I think it says this too, like summons the, not summons, but uses the blue sparks that are around, I guess. So it seems like this is more or less electricity. It's able to like gather electricity or whatnot. The description made it seem like the electricity was like a living force, but I'm not sure if it is or not. I don't think it is. But Archibald is again mentioned in the Unseen Village, so that's very interesting. It's something we're going to see here very soon. Because remember, back when I said that, I think Archibald was like here trying to figure out what was going on, and he wanted to see what the Unseen Village was doing. There could still maybe be some truth to that, but I think I'm going to be changing some of what I thought. Unless there's a reason behind it. I don't realize it right now, but that monster is very different. The one that you saw on the screen just now. It's very different than the other ones. And we'll see that also here in a second. But yeah, so Rom, yeah, what is the purpose of him? Like, who made him and what's the purpose? Right now, I'm really leaning toward the fact that Bergenworth made him. And it could be Willem. It could be part of Willem. It could be what he ultimately formed up to. But what I was going to say is, when you kill him, you get an achievement, and the achievement does say Great One Rom. So the game acknowledges that he's a Great One, but apparently he was mindless too. So maybe he wasn't a full Great One, or he was part Great One. Even though he's considered a Great One, he just wasn't all there. Because again, maybe it's because Willem was trying to find a way around not using blood and using the Great Ones to become one as much as possible. So maybe that's why he created something that's not a lesser Great One, I guess you could say. So you could still consider it a Great One, but it's not as great as the other. Using the word great so many times is just annoying. So I don't know. It's just a very interesting point. And like I said, I knew that was going to be like a midpoint in the game. They were going to throw a bunch of stuff at you, and you got to kind of figure it out. So you get this air rune right here. Now, there's one other place you get an air rune in the game that I know of, and that's off Henrik when you kill him. And air is like, and I remember, the name meaning for Henrik is Lord of the House. I don't know if that's going to kind of open things up about his history or anything, but you get an air rune from him, which is very, very weird to me. You get an air rune from Henrik, and then his name means Lord of the House. So who was he an heir to? What is all that about? Right now, there's not much information on all that in Papa Gas and Henrik himself. We'll maybe if he pops up again, we might have to look him up a little bit. I'm still like fascinated by these lamps. They're just interesting to me. But I think I can't remember if the street lamps on Yarnum were electric or not. I want to say they weren't. I want to say they were fire oil lamps. So these lamps here look like they're electric, or they may be magical, which makes me think Archibald. I'm actually just making this up now. Like, I'm not making it up, but I'm thinking of this combination. Those don't look like fire lamps. They look more electric, right? Like electric lamps that we look at those lamps up in the, are those fire? Are they flickering? They look like they're flickering. I can't. These are basically the same lamps that they use on Yarnum. They look like they're flickering. So they look like fire lamps. So electricity isn't a kind of a thing, but the lamps in this building look like they're electric. Maybe Archibald. We'll talk about him, like I said, here in a minute. Very, this bastard. That item, the reason why I knew this existed was because I saw that item when I entered that horrific room where this biatch right here keeps summoning enemies down there. That room down there is an asshole room. And then where you get the teeny tenatris or tenitris. By the way, tenitris means thunder in Latin, which is funny because you're not really creating thunder with the weapon, you're creating lightning. two totally different things, but I get the point. You know, you get the idea behind it. And again, like I said, Archibald's in this area. And like those lamps, this is interesting, some stuff to look at around sometimes, how your environment tells you. I really think what I'm going to really try to do is start looking at the statues, because it seems like they're different in every area. And the difference kind of depicts kind of the sadness or the tone of that area. So that's going to be, we're about to pick up a very, 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 very interesting item right here. It's called the Upper Cathedral Key. And it tells us a little bit more than what we probably should have been told. And let's see, I do look at it? I know I do. I'm trying to find it on my things here. If not, I'm definitely talking about, oh, first thing I do is I look at this person, and I'm like, this is interesting. I've seen someone that looks exactly like this. They were in Bergenworth, and I had to fight them. The scholar that you fight in Bergenworth, or what I was considering the scholar, looks like wasn't a scholar, because here in a minute the item description on this key kind of tells us otherwise who this person is, or not who it is, but where and what they come from. So I go and I check this out. It says the key to the Upper Cathedral Ward's seal. The upper echelons of the Healing Church are formed by the School of Mensis, based in the Unseen Village, and the choir occupying the Upper Cathedral Ward. This key brings one a step closer to the choir. So right there, that kind of blew up my whole Archibald trying to figure out what's going on here, because the Healing Church doesn't trust the Unseen Village. Yeah, throw that out the door. Now we know that the School of Mensis and the Healing Church are kind of one and the same, and the Healing Church is run by the people from School of Mensis, and also people called the choir who reside there. So the School of Mensis resides here, obviously. And they're doing some dark stuff here, if you remember right. They're doing some very, very dark stuff. Right now, this church is turning out to be more evil and evil as we go on. Bergenworth didn't look so great, right? They made their mistakes. But it seemed like they had a better grasp of things, even though the way they were doing it wasn't right necessarily, right? The ends don't justify the means kind of thing, right? Necessarily, they weren't maybe the best of the best, but Healing Church definitely ain't looking so great either. And again, bringing the idea that these two are at war, but neither of them are really good at all, right? And it kind of adds to the darkness of this game. Like, there's no real good in the world, is what this is coming out to be. Like, there's no such thing as good. And that's also making me think, like, the character you're playing as may be the same. Like, there's no good way out of anything. And just everything is dark and just solemn. And it's just very creepy. Here, something scares the crap out of me up here, and you'll see what... If you know what it is, then you know what I'm talking about. It just literally scares the shit out of me. But the reason why that key is so interesting is because it now pretty much tying that all this stuff that's going on here, trying to summon this baby and all that stuff, is the idea of the church. For some reason or another, they want this to happen. Now, they are also the ones that want hunters, too. So are they... I don't necessarily sometimes think that they're after, or they want to be part of a great one, or they want a great one or anything like that. Sometimes I think that they want the cord. Like, they're killing infant great ones just to get the cord, because that seems to be very calls it a wonderful relic or whatever, but it seems to be a very powerful relic too. For what reasons, I don't know. Maybe they want to put the surrogate in some, or maybe they want something else to be the surrogate, or maybe this is their plan and we're here to stop it for some other reason. Some other force got. I try to jump that and it almost kills me. But what is this connection? But we do know that the church is the one behind this summoning, and as we get further and further, we'll kind of see, I guess, closer and closer to the end of the game, we'll see what this is turning out to be. But for right now, we know that they're behind most of this problem. Brings me to the fact of the state of Yharnam too. Is just, it's very just unreal. Like, if you look at Yharnam, and to me, it's not just unreal, it's like insanely unrealistic to me. It's a beautiful city. Like, the city itself looks fine, and it could exist if not for the fact that, like, there's just a bunch of shit around that I'm just like, why would you just leave this stuff here? And then the statues and stuff are very, like, I mean, how are people gonna trust a church that has statues all around like that, you know? Or how are they gonna trust that? So that's why I'm thinking Yharnam is more of a dream world, because there's all these caskets, and yeah, that laser beam scared the little shit out of me. I was like, oh shit. But how do they justify all that, right? Like, if you look at this world, the Unseen Village makes more sense because they're creepy as shit and they're doing bad things. But even them, it's like there's just way too much stuff. And this is when I realized, I looked at this and I was like, why did this one attack me and no one else has? And the minute I looked up, I was like, oh, it's because he has eyeballs, and that means you have power in this game. So and then I think I try to look at this other one's face, and I get a better look at it later, but he doesn't have eyeballs, and the one back at the church doesn't have one either. And so this one is very special for some reason, and he gets to have eyeballs, and that's why he knows where I'm at, probably, and why he knows how to attack me. Still, his aim's still off by a lot, but but you know. So yeah, so then it kind of brings back the idea that there are dreams and nightmares going on, and are they overlapping each other? And that kind of like, it brings me back to the idea of the moon, right? How it's different in every area. Is this dream overlapping each other? Is it one big dream, and you're kind of just entering different eras of that dream, of someone's mind? Whose mind or whose dream is this? Whose world is this, right? And is it a great one that can only do things like this, where the dream is inhabitable by actual people? So let's put it in this perspective, right? And I'm making this up. So let me just preface it with that. I am making this up right now. But what if the world we're living in is just a dream of a great one, right? And we're just happen to be, you know, right now, the world, everyone's sitting, you know, driving around their cars and listening to this and watching YouTube and whatnot. Yeah, it's just a dream of a great one, right? And sooner or later, those people figure it out. And that's kind of what's going on now. So now what do they want to do? Do they want to break away from this? Or do they want to enter the real world? Is there a real world? I don't know. See, this is kind of weird shit this game keeps digging itself into, making me think about. I hope these things get answered. Maybe not. Maybe we're just going to have to infer. Like, there's a good example right here of this guy not having eyeballs. And it's not that they don't have eyeballs. There's, like, no spot. It's not like their eyes are closed. Like, there's, like, a slit, and they're just not open. It's like it's sleeping. No, it's just straight. He doesn't have any. And this one does. And you can see him blinking and stuff. It just makes that one unique for some reason. Another cool view of the moon and this crazy ass statue you don't see anywhere else but in this area, I believe. Just very just something to think about, you know. How's this world working out, you know? To me, I think Yharnam exists in a real world, but these people aren't there right now. They're in a dream of maybe a great one, maybe of a, I don't think it's going to be of a human, a regular human anyways, for that matter. So what's, you know, exactly what's happening, what's going on right now, you know? So we'll see, I guess, as we go on, kind of answer that question. But I'm almost 100% sure this is some kind of dream of some sort, just because of the way it looks. Like, I just don't think realistically humans would leave an area like this, and it's just way too much to me. It's way too much of a resemblance to a dream than it is an actual world. Just by the way it looks, right? The buildings and everything are fine. It's just all the statues and all the caskets and all the stuff that are around that just makes me think that. I'm glad I saw this chime lady, because I'd have been looking around and these guys would have been real tough. But if you can kill her, they won't get you. I love how he's holding a statue. Statue of a lady too, that's weeping. So it's just, I don't know if that's symbolic of anything, but it's just, I think it's cool that he just like picked up like the nearest thing. It's like, I'm gonna use this as a weapon. That's what's gonna happen. So we're in what you call the Unseen Village. We've visited this place before, and it's a very, very creepy place. I told you that Iosefka was a very creepy part in the game, but I forgot about this area, which I don't know how I did. I probably forgot about it because it was so creepy I wanted to get out of my mind. But when you first enter this area, if you don't go the normal way like I did, and you get kidnapped and you go that way, it's a very creepy area. And the music is creepy too. It's just very creepy altogether. But the first thing I noticed was where all the guys with the bags that were here the first time. And right when I come down here, I noticed that this is the lamp that you use earlier in the game when you get captured. But it's not here anymore. Basically, the lamp part's not here. They kind of moved up to that upper echelon. Now, does that have any meaning? Is there a reason for that? Is it because you're further in time now, and that's kind of changed? The notes here that you saw before are all the same, but they make a lot more sense now. And the bad guy that used to be down there is now replaced by what looks to be up there to be a phantom and a something in the middle, a person in the middle. I have no idea who this hunter is supposed to be. The one thing I do miss from the other games is that when you got invaded by NPCs in the game, it said invader. Invader, did it? No, yeah, it did. It did say invader come. I guess it never. It actually did. It ever? Now I'm confused. I'm all confused. I don't remember if it ever gave you a name. It didn't give you a name that popped up, but I'm trying to remember. I don't think it did. But it did drop stuff that would give you ideas of who they are. So I don't know if that's going to change in New Game Plus or if it's just a lucky drop you get off these guys. So I do know that that's true, and I wish that kind of happened here because I really don't know who this guy is. I first, for a split second, thought it could have been like irreverent Izzy, and irreverent means that he doesn't follow the rules or the rituals or the way things are supposed to be, which this guy kind of looks like. If he's a hunter. And he's doing things the hunting way, he's doing it the wrong way. Because the hunter, you didn't want to act like a beast as much as possible. You wanted to stay away from that. Plus, you'll find out he actually does drop something, but it doesn't tell you who he is. It does tell you what that helmet is and what it kind of represents. But as you notice, he's also got two of the Yargul Hunter set guys coming after you. The ones with the metal masks and things like that. So exactly who this hunter is, I'm not sure. If he was using anything lightning based, I'd have immediately thought it was Archibald. If I didn't, and also you might be able to tell from his moves, but I didn't fight him long enough to figure out all of his move set and everything like that. So I'm still a little confused about who he is. But first thing that popped in my head was Izzy. But that there's nothing I can really base that off of, because there's nothing that connects them to. And Izzy's stuff was found in the Forbidden Forest and not here. So, I can't really say that is. But he did look like someone that was kind of going way off base. He's way different than any other hunter you fought. And Izzy's name kind of resembles that. And that's really the only thing I'm basing it off of. But that's the only guy I can think of. Just a strange fight. Okay, and then fighting these guys is a pain in the ass. This guy right here, the whip, he has pretty good range. And he does a lot of damage with that whip. As you can see, what I do is I walk towards him to get him to do the same attack over and over again. And then I just counter it. That's basically the easiest way. I forgot to target him. After you do a visceral attack, you have to target him again. And then you see, that's all I'm doing. Back and back again and again and again. It's the easiest way to kill. Most of the NPCs that are human or represent humans are very easy once you can get them into kind of a cycle of their moves. And then figure out what causes them to do one move and then learn how to counter it. And that's basically all you gotta do. So I pick up this helmet. Oh no, he doesn't give me the helmet. He gives me cloth. Who drops the helmet? I thought, oh, is it an item? I don't remember. I know you get a helmet here in a second. So he doesn't drop anything that's worth a day. That tells you who he is. I thought he dropped the helmet, but you do get the helmet here in a minute. It's the only real item that reminds you of like a Dark Souls game where it's an iron helmet and kind of look like a knight. Is it this guy? Does he drop it? Or is it an item down there? Like I said, I don't remember exactly. I do know I get it in a second. He's carrying the cannon, which I don't see him actually ever use this whole fight. He also has a rifle spear, so he has the whole workshop set down right here, and it's just funny. I don't know if that's a clue to kind of. These two guys seem to be more of like helpers, or maybe they were hunters summoned by him, or they actually they're hunters in the right area, because these are the hunters of this area. And remember, they're supposed to be mostly used not so much to hunt beasts as in to really just capture people and bring them here, so that they can do these summonings for whatever reason. and whatever thoughts they got behind it. How they summon people right now, I think it has to do with those guys in the chair with the cages, and that's what they're maybe doing to the people, forcing them to be like that. For what reason or not, again, not yet known, because I don't get that far in this episode. So we'll figure that out maybe as we get through. So what I was trying to connect back with that guy with the key on him, I know this is kind of going back to a little bit back in the further beginning of the episode, but that guy with the key on him looked a lot like the scholar from Bergenworth, so that's telling me these two guys were upper people in the church. They may not have been part of the choir. They could have been part of the choir. I don't know how big the choir is, but they could have definitely been part of it. So they knew more stuff about what they were doing, the church was doing, than maybe the other people. Now, the biggest thing that brings a question to me is, how far were the hunters in this echelon? Were they up there and they knew what the choir was doing? So here it is, an iron yargle helm. Iron helmet worn by hunters of the unseen village. Removing the hood reveals something reminiscent of a warrior of a previous age. This headwear is made of metal, a rarity for hunter garb, and has high defense, but only against physical attacks. Yeah, just a very weird, this may be really alluding to that this area is older than even the church or Bergenworth. Maybe this is a remnant village or a place of very far in the past where they used different things than what the healing church in Yarnum even came up with. That's the only thing I can get from it. I think the reason why it's called the Unseen Village is not necessarily that it's hidden, as much as that it is the fact that there are unseen things in it. That's my guess. That's kind of, I think, or maybe it's just trying to say both of those things at once. Just something to think about. These guys are assholes. These are freaking tough. I was finding this. I was like, why is he so hard to hit? That claw attack, you're gonna see. I'm gonna have trouble with it, and hopefully there's not many other enemies that use that attack. But I feel like it's gonna be, and I'm gonna be getting a lot of it. I for some reason have a hard time dealing with it. I don't know if it's because it's quick. I don't even know why I don't try to counter it. And it's just like, and then I'm being stupid because I'm trying to do a charge attack. Anyways, you'll see. Because what happens here in a minute is I die by one of these. That's why I'm talking about it. But yeah, so these guys, where are the hunters at in this church? What tier are they? Are they high enough to be in the part where they know about it? There is one. I think there was one item that alludes to kind of that they weren't, because it said that. I don't remember if it was the Adon ruin or what it was. I just thought of this right now, otherwise I'd have it in my notes. But I just thought of this just now, that there was something that kind of said that the caverns beneath were not just full of trinkets for hunters, but it was also a place of more knowledge or something like that, which kind of tells me there was a separation, that hunters went down there for what they call communion and stuff, but they didn't really understand what the real reasoning in the labyrinth was, and that's what the upper echelons, the choir, understood, right? And here I think this is the first one I've seen, one of those bad guys, and he is dead, just straight dead, not morphed or evolved into anything, just dead. So that makes me wonder, like, what happened? Why are these guys dead? Like, couldn't they use them for something else? I mean, yeah, I get that they lost their purpose maybe at this point, but why kill them? I mean, they were pretty badass, pretty strong enemies. Like, that scared me when that person came out. I was like, oh god. Like, what was the purpose of taking them out? Is it because what's here is now so evil that it's even more evil than they are, and they just kind of attack them and kill them because they're stronger? But, what's the purpose of that? What's the reasoning behind those guys being dead now? I'm like they were pretty strong. I'm glad they're dead. If you go down here, the witches are gone too. And all that's left are these beast things that are, if you look at them, they're made of body parts all clumped together. So that could be kind of a... this one's the one that gives me trouble. It could kind of be maybe a reasoning behind that they just, whatever they did, it's gross too. You see like intestines hanging out the side. It's a cool design. But, whatever they were doing here created these kind of beasts in this area, and it needed multiple parts from multiple beings to create. And that included their own people that was helping them out. I'm not sure. Like, there's no answer to this. You kind of come up with your own theory about why they decided that those guys need to die. Maybe it's a time jump. And that's why that lamp doesn't work anymore, is because before, when we were kidnapped and brought there, it was at a different time in a different part of the dream. And now we're at a different time, a different part of the dream after we killed Rom. I don't know. I don't like that one, but it could be a reason. I don't like the time jump stuff. I think that's too easy of an answer to a lot of things. And yeah, he killed me right there. But you know, I just like throwing stuff out there that makes, you know, people think. So it's just weird. I couldn't really think of any reason. By the way, that Hypogan Gal, which it sounded like I just said a bunch of words. That lamp that you get from when you get kidnapped actually means underground prison. Just a little tidbit information. It actually means underground jail, or under earth jail, I should say. Hypogan means under earth, and Gal is another way of saying jail. So take that, chew on it a bit. Just a little knowledge. Doesn't really help too much. It makes sense for what it is, though. Don't know why they didn't just call it underground jail. If it didn't add anything else to the lore or anything like that. I guess it helps you understand that they're capturing people and they're putting them down there for I won't say experimentation, but for their summonings or whatever they're trying to do. Maybe they want their eyeballs also. Haven't made, like, I have all these, like, again, I have like all these pieces and stuff, and all the pieces have pieces, and I haven't connected all the pieces to everything yet. But it feels like I'm getting there. Like, every time I do another one of these videos, or every time I progress in this game, it seems I make more and more of a connection to exactly what's going on. So really, I can't wait till the end of the game. Like, not because I want it to end or anything like that, but because oh man, I wish this game never ended. But I really just want to see how it concludes. What are the possibilities that can happen, and all that good stuff. So it's gonna be interesting, and hopefully I can come up with something good that people are like, yeah, that makes sense. Instead of being like, what is that guy smoking? That guy's crazy. What is he talking about? So yeah, we talked about church and how they're assholes now. Good job, church. Way to go. Kind of could tell that, I guess, from the beginning, that they're probably not the greatest. Where that disconnect happened is not 100% sure, because, like I said, I think Lawrence has created the Healing Church. Has a possibility of creating a church. I'm really thinking that Skull was there in the Cathedral Ward, but we also know that was a long time ago, because if you remember Vickers' pendant, that the pendant says that it's been passed down generation to generation, or been passed down quite a bit. So, you know, that could have been a long time ago. I don't think what it is now is what maybe Lawrence wanted it to be. And after a long period of time, maybe the Grey One's influence got to be too overbearing. And that's why they're in the situation they are in now. And because all of what Lawrence said, even though Lawrence was like, well, don't worry about the old blood. I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do, old man. It wasn't him that did it. It's the future of what he created that ultimately ends up doing it. I came back down here to kind of just check out, see what was going on, you know, what was different, if there was anything different. And I'm pretty sure I picked up these items last time, so when I was running through here. So there's more items, but these items are actually because these guys died. They were killed by something. And like I said, I'm not 100% sure why they did that. Now, here's where we're going to see this moon that I'm talking about. Remember, the moon's all red and stuff, and we were just in that area right there, right? And we come out here, and we look around, and here in a second I find out. I'm like, oh, well, it looks the same. Nothing's too different. I see it above the... well, what really got me first going was like, why is it so shiny over there? It looks like the sun's coming out, and I was like, that can't be right. There's no sun in this game. So I was like, is it a light of something? So I'm looking around now for the moon here in a second. I start looking around, like, that light has to be coming from the moon. So I'm looking. I'm like, where's it at? I'm like, it's not over there. And I see it right here. And there it is. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not the same moon. So I think I back up and try to look at it some more. And I'm like, that is 100% completely different moon. I think I saw a little animal thing run off the cliff right there. Now that I looked at that again, it might have been different, but because I was so into the moon. But very interesting. So I walk into Old Yarnum, and I have two things I want to do. I want to go back up to that hunter that was shooting at me. His name's Dejura. But the other thing was, I think I look at the moon here too, to see what it looks like. Not now, because I do look for it there, but then I realized I wasn't outside. I wasn't outside. I was inside a building, which I didn't realize actually the first time I ran through there. That I'm kind of like an under area. of Old Yarnum. Remember, we're back in Old Yarnum, and this is the area that Hunter was shooting at us, and in the past I didn't fight him. I just let him go because he looked like he was a badass, and he still looks like he's a badass. He looks like he's a pretty cool guy. He's kind of like, right now to me, he's kind of like the Artorias of the game, where he has good intentions and stuff, and he's a badass. And you don't have to kill him, or you can kill him. You're kind of forced to kill Artorias in the DLC, but Artorias was just so... Yeah, there we go. I look at it right there, and I'm like, that is a completely different moon than what we've seen, or what we have we brought forward a minute ago when we killed Rom. So are these places stuck in a different state, different plane, different dream? Are they the same dream, just different times? What is like that? Because I really don't think FromSoft made a game about moons and then forgot to change them all in all the different areas. I really don't think that. It could be. There's a very possible chance. I wouldn't even say I don't think there's a possible chance, but there could be a chance. And I guess that's the same thing. A possible chance and a chance is still a possible chance. Whatever. But I don't know. It's just it was an interesting thing I saw, and I was like, It makes me think more and more that I'm not in a real state, the actual real world. I'm in a real place, but just not the real world. Let's listen to Dijura. I like his comments. I like his voice acting, actually.
I've no interest in matters further up, but you must not disturb this place. The beasts do not venture above, and mean no harm to anyone. If you still insist on hunting them, then I will hunt you first. You understand me? Yes, very good. I no longer dream, but I was once a hunter too. There's nothing more horrific than a hunt. In case you fail to realize, the things you hunt, they're not beasts. They're people. One day you will see. It's time you got going. But first, a farewell gift. I have no use for it anyway. What is it? Go! You have the whole night to dream. Make the best of it.
What a badass. He's basically like, look, you're gonna kill things down there, I'm gonna kick your ass. So what are you gonna do? And I was like, I'm scared of you, so we're gonna go with whatever you want, man. And I won't touch shit down there. His name is Dijura. He used to be a hunter, he said, but he decided, I guess, I don't want to be a hunter. He says, I no longer dream, but I once was a hunter too. So does that mean you can get out of this? Like, this deal of things? I passed it up right there. I'm looking for the badge. The powder keg badge. Badge crafted by the powder kegs, the heretics of the workshop. The powder kegs are adoration of complex design and big booms, culminated in weapon designs that contrast with those traditionally of the workshop. The late powder kegs, bless their souls, had a motto: if a weapon ain't got kick, it just ain't worth it. And it looks like a vial of gunpowder is what the badge looks like. I think one of the cool things about this description is it doesn't say church workshop, it just says the workshop. So that brings me the back idea is that the powder kegs come from the old hunters back when Gurman was around, before the church hunters that existed. And I think that kind of shows that you know, it's just kind of the powder kegs belong to the regular workshop and not the church one. And they were called, they're heretics, so because they were making things that were going crazy and big and boom. The thing I'm looking at right here is I'm looking at his eyes. It's just that he has one covered and the other one isn't. If you remember, the other two, or all the beasts we fought so far, both their eyes were covered or gone. Is that the indication that when you don't have any more eyes, you've lost all your insight? And remember, no insight means your beasthood is up. So maybe he still has his eyes, he still has some insight, he's still sane in some way. But that's going to be the end of this, guys. I hope you liked it. Hope we got somewhere with some of the lore. It looked like we just got a lot more questions. So let's continue forward and see what this game is going to bring us. I hope it comes to a good end, though. Definitely hoping. So I'll check you guys out later. Thanks for watching, as always. Peace out, guys.